welcome back to another episode of AIBiz. I'm your host Avik, and today we are exploring one of the most fascinating and timely topics shaping our future: how we make decisions in a world increasingly influenced by AI. Yeah, so we all know that AI is everywhere, like from the recommendations we see online to the choices that we make in business and even our personal lives. But here's the question: who's really deciding? You or the algorithm? Right? So, to help us unpack this, I am joined by a true visionary in the world of decision science, Cheryl Strauss Einhorn. So, welcome to the show, Cheryl.
Thank you so much for having me.
Amazing, amazing. So, Cheryl, like before we start, I'll quickly love to introduce you to all the listeners. Dear listeners, Cheryl is the founder of Decisive, creator of AI Method, and the brilliant author behind three powerful books on decision making, problem solved, investing in financial research, and her latest, Problem Solver. So she's also an award winning investigative journalist and an educator at Cornell and Columbia. So today she is here to help us reclaim our human agency, even when AI is in the room. So buckle up because we are about to rethink how you think. So let's get started. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you so much. Glad to be here.
Amazing, amazing. So Cheryl, I mean, you have worn so many hats, like journalist, educator, author, founder. Wow. I mean, if you can tell us a bit about your background, like what led you to focus so deeply on the decision making?
Well, thank you for asking. It was one of these unexpected journeys. As you mentioned, my background is in investigative journalism, and I spent over a decade writing for the business magazine Barron's. Barron's covers mostly publicly traded companies. And while I was there, I ended up specializing in what you might call the bearish company story. These are the stories that take a skeptical look at a company's strategy or at their finances. And when these articles were published, there was often an outsized reaction. Sometimes the stock exchanges would halt the shares from trading in the companies that I wrote about. Sometimes regulators would get involved, like the Securities and Exchange Commission. At times, companies might have other problems with regulators, such as the FBI rating their operations. And for one publicly traded company CEO, he was actually sentenced to 10 years in jail after a series of these investigative articles. And although journalism really does celebrate truth to power, for me, I started to think about the tremendous human cost
Hmm.
behind these stories. When people put their money in the stock market or in the capital markets in general, it could be their retirement account, or it could be that they actually work at these companies and therefore are depending on their livelihood. So if I'm writing about these companies and asking questions that then cause a lot of turbulence, there could be a very big reaction to all sorts of people who could be collateral damage, and to obviously the people who may be involved in shenanigans or doing things that they shouldn't be doing at these companies. And it just led me to think about, how do I know that I'm telling stories that are true, stories that should be told, that I'm marshaling the right evidence? And then I'm also really challenging my own assumptions and judgments. Over time, we've come to understand that we all have strong mental pathways, what we now call cognitive biases, that help our minds to make decisions quickly by seeing things through sort of the dirty windshield of the past. But that may mean that we are making assumptions and judgments that are not actually based in fact and based on the current moment that we're facing. And recognizing that there was no system for decision making to control for and counter these thinking mistakes led me to put together a system for decision making uniquely focused on prying open cognitive space for new information and new insight. And so initially, my focus on decision making came from just wanting to do a more ethical job at work.
Understood. Understood. That's really great. Yeah. And like, was there a particular moment when you just realized that people needed better tools to make tough choices?
Well, I know for me, I was having this recurring dream at night where I was a little girl trying to lift a very big set of shoes off the ground. And I realized that I was just really uncomfortable about this idea that I was making a lot of decisions that would end up as these published articles that then would be reported all over the world. So for me, it was really wrestling with, what is it that's making me uncomfortable? And it was wanting to have this insurance plan, so to speak, right? We take out insurance to prevent against a loss we're not willing to incur, whether it's home insurance or it's auto insurance for those things that truly matter in our lives where the cost could be so big if there's a lot of damage that we want somebody to backstop us. And we're willing to pay that premium on an annual basis to know that something's going to backstop us. And I think about having a quality system for decision making as that insurance plan. If I can catch and control for and do something that helps me to make my mistakes in my process so that I can strength test my decisions. I give them a better chance of succeeding. And I also identify vulnerabilities right in the process that can help me to bypass some mistakes and get continually more confident that I can meet challenges that come up in my day to day life.
Understood. That's very true. Yep. And also, like, what inspired you to write the latest book about AI and decision making? Like, was there a specific moment or maybe um, a cultural shift that made you feel like this was the right time?
Yeah, absolutely. There were 2 moments that sorta led me to
Mhm.
writing the AI book that is going to come out towards the end of this year by Cornell University Press, and it's currently being called The Human Edge: Decision Making in the Age of AI, although that title might change. One event was that LinkedIn had reached out to me and my colleague Emma to create a course in decision making using generative AI. And the second was that also right around that time, ChatGPT had become available to all of us. And so we all had this opportunity very suddenly to use this powerful new tool,
Mm.
and that in using it, I realized that it really does work best for us when we lead it. And I thought that this was a bit of a variant perception. And so I created this course that was launched, I think, in September of 24 and has now had over 23,000 people complete the course. And it is based on this idea that we all can make better decisions supported by this tool, but that there are some specific tools and strategies that really make that possible for us. So, those two things coming together really led me to realize that writing a book about this would give people something that would help them feel better about using it and making decisions.
Hmm. Exactly. No, that's very true. That's really very true. Yep. And uh, so in the book, like you write that decision making is uniquely human. Um, that's a powerful statement. Like, if you can explain, like, what you mean by that.
Yes, well, AI has a wealth of answers,
Hmm.
but they are from other people and they're about their decisions and their preferences. AI does not know us personally. And that means it's a great opportunity for all of us to really get to know ourselves better and communicate our goals, our context, our values, so that when we're working with AI, we are solving problems together so that it arrives at information that is both relevant and useful to us.
Hmm, understood. So like uh I mean that's really hits home for me because we often confuse information with the wisdom. Um, just because an AI can suggest an option doesn't mean it understands the context or the emotions behind the decision. So that's very very true. And
Right, information has no valence,
mm,
right? It's not positive or negative. It just kind of is. And so it's really how you understand the information and how you know why you're why a particular piece of information is relevant to you or not.
mhm, very true. Yep. And like you don't dismiss AI, so but you actually offer a way to include it in the decision making. So if you can also walk us through that process, like what makes it different from just using ChatGPT or Google?
Well, in using AI, what I'm recommending is that we break problem solving into a chain of about 8 steps, and I can name them for your listeners. It would be problem definition, motivation,
Mm,
context, research, analysis, investigating biases, your own and AI, including stakeholders, and then thinking about failure and coming to conviction. And what the book is recommending is that people recognize that any weak link in that
mm,
chain can undermine good decisions. And then you can use the advice that I give you in the book in two ways. One, as an integrated step by step process. This is when you know what you're solving. Say,
mm,
I'm thinking about learning how to code with AI. So you know specifically what it is that you are investigating, then a step by step process to say, what's the best way to do that? Do I want to, hit pause on my career and go back to a university, or do I want to do this fully online? Whatever the pathways are. That's when you might want an integrated process and you can put these steps together and use it. Or sometimes we just want to use AI surgically at the point of problem solving where we're encountering a bottleneck. So the book offers you two different solutions. And what it is meant to do, therefore, is to help you to better understand what is involved in solving a complex problem, help you feel more comfortable as a decision maker in your own life, and know how to use this powerful tool in both of those different pathways.
exactly. Exactly true. Yeah. And also like I love the idea. Definitely. I really love the idea that it's not about rejecting the technology, it's all about using it wisely, like a compass, not a captain. So exactly. So and also like what according to you are the biggest mistakes you see people making when they rely on AI for the decisions?
I think there's a couple mistakes that people make.
Mm,
I think the first one is they go right to AI and they ask it something, and they may not recognize again that it is giving you the information it has. And so it could be giving you a very good response to what you've asked, but it may not work for you and your circumstances in the real world.
mm,
And so knowing how to interact with it and get clear on what you are solving for is very important. The second thing that I would say that is a mistake is not recognizing that the negative is positive in this particular circumstance. It used to be we'd get an answer wrong or something wouldn't work out, and we would be left with our own devices. Why didn't it work? What did we do wrong? But AI doesn't get tired of problem solving with us. And it's like a great moment in time to be wrong
mm,
with AI in the sense that when you get back a response that you don't expect, you can ask it, Well, how did you arrive at that?
Mm.
Or what was it in what I asked you that gave you the idea to give me the answer that it gave you? So you can better unpack the mistakes in your process with AI. And that I think is also very useful to recognize that the wrong answer is actually something that can be a wonderful learning tool to you.
Very true. Yep. Oh, that's really lovely. And so, if the reader could take just one core idea from the book and carry with them, what would you want it to be?
You are the chief decider in your own life. Your decisions are yours. You need to live with the consequences. And so you need to lead AI.
Mm, understood. Lovely. And um, so, Cheryl, like this has really been such a valuable conversation. But um, what else should I mean, is there something that uh, people often overlook when it comes to reclaiming their power as a decision makers?
I think it's that they're not recognizing that there is a lot of thinking
Hmm.
that you can make clearer to yourself and therefore clearer to AI to solve problems well together. That, getting clear on these 8 steps and really learning how to solve your own problems can help you not only when you're using AI, but when you're not near a computer or you're not using your phone and you're
Hmm.
face to face in an important moment in your life.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. And one more thing is like there's a lot of hype and fear around AI. So, what's one myth about AI and decision making that you would really like to bust?
That it is a better decision maker than you are.
Mm, wow. That's this sentence actually proves everything, and I have to say, yeah, really great. So, Cheryl, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your method, and your voice with us today. And I have to say that you have given us so much to think about, like, uh, more importantly, a new way to think. So, for everyone who is tuning in, AI isn't going away. I mean, uh, and neither is uncertainty. But what can evolve is how we choose. The decision making is not a skill for the few, it's a human superpower that we all have the right to sharpen. So, uh, uh, so like Cheryl, if someone wants to connect with you and have a one-to-one discussion on the same, what will be the
Well,
best
thank
way
you.
to?
This has been a lovely conversation. I really appreciate it. I hope that people will connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Cheryl Strauss Einhorn, and that they also will check out my website, areamethod.com. And I look forward to hearing the questions that they have about problem solving and questions that they may have from my books as well. Problem Solved on Personal and Professional Decision Making, Investing in Financial Research about investment and financial decisions, and then Problem Solver, which will help you better understand the psychology of your own decision making and problem solver profiles. Thank you so much for having me here with you today.
Amazing, amazing, Cheryl. So, dear listeners, I'll put all the links into the show notes for your easy reference. And here's challenge this week: like, don't just react, reflect, be curious, take ownership of your choices, and maybe just maybe like invite AI to the table as a thinking partner, not the decision maker, for sure. So, with this hope, this is your host Avik signing off from AIBiz. And if you found value in today's episode, share it with a friend, family, or someone who actually needs to listen to this. Rate us and go grab Cheryl's book. It definitely just be the most important decision you make today. So, with this hope, thank you so much.